I've been doing Cisco Live, video from Cisco Live, since it was called Networkers. And for the last 12 years or so, I've been part of the Cisco TV broadcast team, which means twice a year, at least, I get to walk into and marvel at the NOC, the Network Operations Center. The NOC is one of my favorite places at Cisco Live, not because it looks cool on camera, though it does, but because the people in that room are running a live production network that they've just set up for 20-some thousand attendees, some of the most picky engineers I've ever met. And in real time, under real pressure, with no margin for excuses. It's their Wi-Fi, all the vendor booths, the broadcast, the exams, the keynote, all of it. I've learned a lot in that room over the years. That room, rooms. Some of it from Joe Clark, who's been part of this story longer than most. He's a nerd's nerd who knows network engineering cold. Joe and I go back to the early TechWise TV days, probably more than he remembers, because it stuck with me. Because every time I get him talking, I have a hard time stopping him, which is a compliment to Joe. And it's a confession of sorts about my time management, at least as a host. Because in Amsterdam this past February, waiting on the other side of that conversation was Bobby from NetApp. Bobby had sent me detailed prep notes before I went live. He knew exactly what he wanted to cover. He'd done the homework. I studied it, and then I gave him about 90 seconds before I had to throw it back to the studio. Here's that moment.
All of that has been enabled by NetApp.
Before I go talk to Bobby on the NetApp stuff,
We have a new solution which is called AFX. It's a disaggregated solution where you can run training workloads as large as you can imagine. On top of it, we have a customized solution which gives the data insight capability. We call it AIDE, AI Data Engine.
I apologize, I'm gonna have to go. Yeah.
And Cisco will be certified for it.
Yeah. Bobby, I always feel bad because you have more information than I ever have the time to extract.
Right there. He was just getting into the two things that he most wanted to talk about. And I had ignored the producer in my ear too long at that point. I had to send it back to the studio. That sucked. So I called him. And what you're about to hear is a version of the conversation that we should have had. Not the show floor, no producer in my ear, no clock running, just the two of us finishing what we started. This is between two events. Amsterdam is behind us. Cisco Live Las Vegas is in about a week. Bobby's going to be there. I'm going to be there. What do you do when you're not at Cisco Live? What is your day-to-day? What are you responsible for?
We build converged infrastructure solutions. So when I say converged, putting components from different companies. So when it's FlexPod, it's Cisco networking, the UCS compute, and NetApp storage, right? Depending upon which partner we work with, we try to use their product, right? At a high level, my team, what we do is we do the complete engineering validation.
With the CVD process?
Yes.
Okay.
CVD like or reference architectures. We do all the interrupt testing.
You're definitely removed from that sharp end of marketing. You're a step deeper where things actually, of course, have to be shipping. It has to be code that's available and deployable, or otherwise your job would fall apart.
You may have heard about hyperconverged infrastructure or HCI. You put everything into a metal plate and kind of put things together. That was the IT or data center probably 40, 50 years back, right? Now, we kind of spread across, then put everything together. Then we found, okay, there are some use cases which you cannot use converged infrastructure solutions like FlexPod or any other offerings, equivalent offerings would be better for certain workloads, especially AI, right? Where you wanted to use GPU-specific or AI-accelerated servers, where you cannot get those features with the HCI system. So you go kind of different components, but at the end of the day, you have to connect all these things together to the outcome what you're looking for, right? And it's not up to the partner or customer to go through this. I always say the life of a FlexPod engineer who spends close to 3 months to build their solutions, right? I have a lab with 20 racks, 10-foot racks. We continuously churn solutions out. We build this thing real time. I always say, when you do this again and again, you talk from your heart than your head.
That last line is the setup for everything else Bobby says in this conversation. His team has spent months, years, proving these architectures under real conditions. And that's not a marketing exercise, that's engineering. And twice a year, Cisco Live is where all of that proof gets stress tested in front of a live audience with no margin for failure. This time next month will be Cisco Live Vegas. Are you going to be there?
Absolutely. We'll be getting there probably 8 to 9 days before to set up NOC.
Yeah, I was like, what does your life look like in the lead up to something like this?
We have the staging work, which already we have completed, right? So the systems are in Cisco San Jose lab. Everything is done. Now, what they do is they move rack by rack, put it into a big container, and move it to the show floor, Vegas this time. And then we power up everything together. So my team takes part of that process, and we bring up the systems from a storage perspective, NetApp perspective, and we ensure everything is clean so that we are giving a network close to 23 and 25,000 attendees comes, and they all goes Wi-Fi, starting from registration till we shut everything down, close everything down, and we are part of it, right? That equation.
Right.
Yep. And to me, it is a real production environment. You are up and running 24/7. Once you start the show on that Monday morning or the registration on Sunday till we close it down on Friday. When I have around 20 to 25,000 attendees coming, and my FlexPod Metro cluster acts as the backbone for a network factory, I call it, with the NVIDIA AI factory terminologies.
Yeah.
we have to make sure that the promise we made to the partners and our customers are kept intact. And the only way is it's continuously making sure being proactive and looking at, taking care of the environment. Cisco does the same thing on their side. To me, when we are part of the NOC, we are part of one team. The wonderful thing I like there is it's the humility and people being humble.
Those one of my favorite things to look for.
Titles, they just take the title out and work together because we have that 5 days of working together, right? All the effort what we put. How can we ensure everything is working, right?
Yeah.
How can we ensure as we run into issues, how do you fix things by being so transparent so that none of the users experience any kind of jittering in their network experience?
And then there's the moment that proves all of it. Bobby has a story about a power outage, the kind of event that could take down the NOC entirely, but it didn't. Here's why. Do I remember correctly, there was an example of you guys having a power outage at one place in the conference center one year, and it was invisible to everybody, and you watched it happen digitally. But do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Absolutely. Resiliency is not an option for us, right? Yeah. So this is several years back. There was a thing, I believe it was in one of the EMEA event in Europe, where the power guy went and flipped the wrong switch, right? So it happens. Yeah, it happens, right? That is one of the reasons I was saying there is a reason we have this dual data center. One of the site went down, and NetApp Metro Cluster has the capability of seamlessly failing over because I am writing synchronously across my sites whenever there are changes, right? What happened is the failover happened under the covers, completely transparent to the user. And that's exactly the reason I have all these customers, especially in Europe, where countries are closer, where you have this Metro Cluster solution using predominantly, right? Cisco NOC or Cisco uses Metro Cluster for a reason, just because this is unique, right? Yeah. We can be that differentiator where we could support an event like this. In the event, the site goes down, we protect it. The switches goes down, we have resiliency there. We have resiliency at the disk level, at the controller level, at the network level, right? So on top of it, we have that extra protection of site failure, which is a mandate when you run events like this.
Again, Bobby was very prepared in Amsterdam. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, both the prep and that he was willing to share it with me in advance. 9 times out of 10, that's going to make for a better interview. Unless, of course, it doesn't. So Bobby and I talked through the notes that he had sent me. We talked through them in more detail. And here's what stuck with me. The AI conversation at the infrastructure layer comes down to one word: trust. Bobby's framing, and I thought it was sharp, was that enterprise AI adoption right now is bottlenecked by trust, not by technology. And trust has 2 sides to it. The first side is security. Smart switches at the edge, AI defense built into Cisco's networking layer, anti-ransomware protection and data classification built into NetApp's storage layer. The idea is that a fully engineered solution, FlexPod folded into the Cisco Secure AI Factory alongside NVIDIA Compute, gives you security baked in from the start. The way Bobby put it, customers move faster when safety is part of the fundamental building block than when you hope for it. Now, the second side of trust is data quality. And this is where Bobby was just getting started. There are 2 things that he wanted to explain and did get to: AFX and AIDE. AFX is a disaggregated architecture, meaning you can scale performance and capacity independently. NVIDIA releases new GPU generations aggressively. Every time compute gets faster, you need your storage to keep up, but not by replacing everything. AFX lets you scale just the performance layer when a new GPU generation drops without forklifting the whole stack. Your training workloads and your inference workloads can run on the same system. You scale what you need when you need it. I think that's also called investment protection. AFX handles the infrastructure side of that equation. AIDE handles the data side. AIDE is the AI data engine. Bobby had been at GTC, NVIDIA's big event, and the message there was clear. AI is moving from pilot to production. The bottleneck isn't compute anymore, it's data preparation. Data scientists spend 70 to 80% of their time just getting data ready to use. Most AI data is unstructured. There's no schema, no organized meaning to it. AIDE uses a metadata engine to find the attributes of that data, create structure and insight around it so that when it gets fed into the AI pipeline, it's actually AI ready. Your GPUs aren't waiting for their data. They're fed clean, prepared data continuously. Bobby's phrase for this, and it stuck with me: you should be feeding the AI pipeline a fully baked data management layer, not just raw data. And it's not about reducing hallucinations. It's about providing real-time trust in the outputs with the sovereignty and resilience built into the critical assets underneath. And both of these, AFX and AIDE, are going to be part of this story at Cisco Live Vegas. Last year was the announcement. This year is the implementation. The chatbot that you had going recently, was that part of NetApp's setup, or is NetApp enabling that? Can you describe how that worked?
Absolutely. So we did that in Cisco US last year.
Describe what it is, because I don't think I did a good job there.
I'm going to start with that, right? So we decided to use an AI chatbot using RAG, and we were discussing as a team, okay, what would be the best way to introduce this, right? We decided to use an iPad. You may have seen it last year. We did that the same concept in ME as well in Amsterdam this year, right? 2026, February. What we did in US last year is we used the CSI or the container storage interface drivers, which is part of NetApp. We call it AIDE. So data scientists, when we create our AI solution, we use that, they can spin up containers or VMs, which would under the covers use that NetApp technology, right? So we use the same concept to spin up that RAG application, completely deployed on the NetApp storage or part of that FlexPod MetroCluster solution, so that we have the ability to apply the guardrails, which is the most important thing in AI, to give a secure data pipeline for your AI agents. That's what we did. To me, more than anything, Rob, on the 4th day, so we were looking at the logs. Okay, how many questions we got, right? There were around probably a little more than 200 questions. I would say if I put, say, per day, around 50 people or 50 questions a day, I say 50 people got their questions answered without talking to me or my team or the NOC team, right?
They're scaling. Yeah.
Right. So again, that is what we wanted to prove is, yes, this is a place where you can learn. This is a place where you could use for your own enterprise to create the best outcome, because we have the most latest and greatest components together running in a single solution. And we don't look from a component perspective, we look from a solution perspective. That's why your Wi-Fi is up and running.
That's the customer zero idea. The NOC isn't a lab demo. It's a temporary production environment with thousands of users, real pressure, and very little room for excuses. When it works, and it does work, that's the proof you bring to your customers. You guys survived a lot of changes in the industry over time, including Cisco investments, VCE, and just different things that have come and gone. And you have that enterprise relationship similar to a Cisco, 20, 30 years of having to pivot in an industry that you're both participating in and creating.
I've been working with Cisco over the last 5 years very aggressively as part of the business requirement. One of the things I really love about it, Rob, is the relationship we have, right? And that starts with the engineers, my TMEs, we call it technical marketing engineers, or the solution engineers. They work together, and we have the freedom to speak up, give the opinion, and work together. And at the same time, from a management perspective or the alliance perspective, it is a tight, well-tied relationship, whether we work with Cisco or whether we work with NVIDIA for that matter, right?
Yeah, everybody's partnered with NVIDIA. It's table stakes. Yeah, just to stay in the game these days. But you guys are certified, which is no small feat. And it's certified not just in the product, but in the design and how it's deployed, which I love that there's that extra step that's constantly part of what you talk about, which is, well, how does this stuff actually generate outcomes versus just impress you in a lab?
Yep. And see, NVIDIA has something called Enterprise Reference Architecture, ERA. Our goal is to align with that ERA or Enterprise Reference Architecture, especially from a factory perspective, right? They wanted to scale compute. They wanted to scale networking. At the same time, NVIDIA is looking for their storage partners, trusted storage partner NetApp, to have that as the fundamental building block, part of that equation. So there is a reason Jensen 2 years back in one of the keynote GTC or some other event, he made the statement that almost half of the files in the planet is running on a NetApp storage, right? To me, rather than just using those words per se, rather I say that there is a reason customers trust NetApp.
Yeah.
There is a reason customers trust this partnership, right? And customers are looking for that outcome, and we need to have that continuous innovation just because industry is running so fast, right?
In a perfect world, what's important to understand going into this next Cisco Live?
Last year, around that February timeframe, we made the announcement that we are going to have this AI system, right? Now, we are trying to make it practical, or we are trying to give the customers the opportunity to implement it through the Cisco Secure AI Factory.
Got it.
That way, you have an engineered solution from a converged infrastructure perspective, from a FlexPod perspective, they could have it. Now, we are not limiting this to just AI. If I look that disaggregated solution, I could do for EDA. I could do for some of the high performance computing where I have to independently scale the storage compute as well as the storage capacity. For me, it is that persona what we are giving, which I was talking about a couple of times, is any workload which is out there, we have ONTAP as the data management layer. It comes in probably a little bit different flavors, which could address that use case, right?
Yeah. And we need to go where the data is, because what we're finding out is not only do we need more data, but we increase it and we go, well, it's not even possible, feasible to be able to port all that data back to some central, even cloud instance. We've got to be out where that data is happening, process quickly to be able to then provide the valuable outcome that we're trying to generate with it.
SnapMirror, that data replication technology we have, is probably one of the best out there. I don't have to worry about copying data, right? With
Yeah.
the aggregated solution, you have all these storage nodes and your disk will see all the storage nodes. There's literally data copying involved in that solution, right? There is literally no data copying involved in that solution. So that is what customers are looking for, data scientists are looking for, because your GPU should not wait for anything because your prepared data, right, is fed into it
Yeah.
continuously. At the same time, you have all these enterprise sort of features which data scientists could use. We are not telling these data scientists to use it all. We want these data scientists use the feature, what is good for them, to get the outcome that they're looking for, right? We're not here to sell all the features, rather use it the way you want.
So not adapt to us, but do what you need to do. What we're here for you. What do you feel like at the end of a week like that? Are you just exhausted?
I would
Or
say
is that just me?
close to 2 weeks in Vegas is a little exhausting, right? Especially during summer. But as I always say, when we land and we start putting things together, we are getting ready for that Monday morning, right?
Yeah. There's a palatable relief during the week that I always look forward to. It's like once you get past that starting bell, which usually is that keynote, although they keep putting the keynote like the day after, and you guys are dealing with network setup for exams and stuff that start well before that too.
Absolutely. For us, exams are important, but keynote is one of the biggest day for us, because we would have the maximum number of users hitting the system, and we have all these API access points we put at the keynote, the show floor, where we ensure, where we continuously monitors that stats. And the cool thing is with Cisco Live is the last event or the last session of every Cisco Live, we'd have this NOC panel session. Usually it's 200 to 300 people, and all these presenters, including from NetApp, one of my engineer who comes part of the panel. We talk about it, the whole setup and the issues, what we face and what we did, how did we tackle the issue, and share the experience with the customers, because that is a real world scenario. And that's exact same thing. Probably they would be taking that approach to solve the problem, right? So those are things I love when I'm part of this event. To me, it's a blessing. Number one thing is learning. Number two, you have the opportunity to show the latest and greatest from your side in front of 22,000 people, right? Or attendees. More than anything, listening to them, what are they telling when we show our innovation to them?
Before I say goodbye or anything, did you get a chance to say what?
Before I close, at GTZ NVIDIA, I had the blessing to talk to several college kids who were in their senior year at Santa Clara as well as at San Jose University. Some of the kids, they were concerned about getting jobs just because AI is flourishing so much. I said, doesn't matter, right? You got to do that recalibration continuously. You have an opportunity to use AI to do the jobs better. There was a time we were doing things 5 years back. We were doing it differently. Now we are doing it differently. 2 years from now, we are going to do completely different, right? It's about learning how to use these tools, and it's about learning how to be efficient by using these tools. If you could do things 50% more than what you used to do, I don't think your company would be unhappy with you.
No, not at all. And the fundamentals, for those that have been learned and put the time in to understand the fundamentals, I continue to see value in that, because it helps. You can't trust outcomes at all times, because of the nature of the beast. But you're not going to realize that if you don't, you can't go into that without an understanding of why things are happening the way they are. And that goes for understanding AI as well as what AI is operating on top of. It's a fascinating space. Yeah, it really is fun.
I love it. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for giving me this opportunity.
Bobby Oommen is going to be in Las Vegas next month. So am I. And I have a much better idea of what to listen for and look for when I walk back into that NOC. I've seen the producer notes. We're booked together again. So I hope you can watch and see if I do any better once that pressure's on. Hope to see you out there.
I hit the spot until I drop. I know exactly what I want. Yeah, that's me. Just know that I'm about to show it off.
Rob's being a silly goose.
show